Wait till I wake up and tell Boo Boo about this. Yay!
Hey, Yogi.
Boo Boo, what are you doing in my dream? Go find your own dream.
But Yogi...
Okay.
Few Saturday mornings are as iconic as those spent with a bowl of cereal and Yogi Bear's honey sweet antics. But behind the picnic basket gags and Jellystone Park hijinks lie oddball stories few fans ever discover. Here are 15 of the strangest, most surprising Yogi Bear facts you never saw coming. Number 1. Yogi Bear had a real-world heist. Let's go back to 1985, when Yogi Bear's mischief leaped straight from cartoons to real life. At a Jellystone Park campground in Texas, a full-size fiberglass Yogi statue vanished overnight. The culprit, or culprits, managed to sneak the 200-pound bear past security, sparking pandemonium across the small town. Local news reported the absurd caper while police combed the area for clues. For days, Yogi was held in an odd hostage standoff, with prank calls, ransom notes, and plenty of bewildered parents and kids. The chase heated up, turning a cartoon icon into an unlikely celebrity for a string of summer newscasts. Eventually, Yogi was recovered, slightly worse for wear but whole, and grandly escorted back to his post, reminding everyone that you just can't keep a good bear or a good story down for long. The smell of funnel cakes and laughter returned to Jellystone, but the legend of Yogi's great escape stuck around, outsmarting grown-ups just like Saturday mornings on TV. Number 2. Yogi-inspired snack foods in the 60s. Hear that crunch? In the mid-1960s, Post cereals tried something wild, a Yogi Bear-themed sweet cereal known as Yogos. Imagine pouring a bowl of neon-bright pieces, shaped to suggest cartoon mischief, all under the wide grin of Yogi himself on the box. It was an era when Saturday mornings belonged to Yogi and Boo Boo, and suddenly, breakfast did too. Clever campaigns invited kids to collect box tops, promising exclusive Yogi Bear mail-in prizes that made every spoonful feel like a treasure hunt. For a brief, sugary window, hunting for Yogi shifted from Jellystone Park to your local grocery store's cereal aisle. But just as quickly as Yogos appeared, they vanished, swallowed up by shifting tastes and the rise of rival mascots. Still, those who remember recall not just the cereal, but the excitement of emptying another box, hopeful for a prize, and that fleeting sense of being part of a club only the coolest kids knew about. Let's see what other pop culture surprises were hiding with the breakfast spoons. Number 3. Yogi Bear. 15 weird facts you didn't know. Picnic baskets, Jellystone Park, and that unmistakable necktie. None of it prepared Yogi for Hollywood. In 1964, Hey There, It's Yogi Bear became the very first Hanna-Barbera cartoon to hit the silver screen. Audiences used to the charming but simple animation of the 1961 TV show were dazzled by richer colors, sweeping backgrounds, and musical numbers crafted just for the movie. With songs like Veni, Veno, Venna, and Just Stay in the Car, it was a step up for a bear who'd always called TV home. The film pulled in cameo voices from Daws Butler and Don Messick, names you'll hear in just about every Hanna-Barbera classic. Kids marveled at seeing Boo Boo and Cindy larger than life, while parents were caught off guard by how smoothly Jellystone Park glimmered in Technicolor. This was more than a screen upgrade. It was a sign that lovable cartoon stars could rival Disney with heartfelt theater releases of their own. And with that, Yogi proved he could be smarter than the average bear, at least on the big screen. Next up, things get even wilder in cartoon history. Number 4. Yogi's signature catchphrase isn't quite original. That instantly recognizable line, smarter than the average bear, wasn't just born in Jellystone Park. The phrase actually echoes back to those classic old-time radio comedies from the 1940s, where wily characters often boasted about being a step ahead. But in 1961, everything changed when Daws Butler, the voice-acting legend behind Yogi Bear, spun the line into gold. Butler shaped the delivery, drawing out the friendly bravado that made Yogi irresistible, and just a little bit ridiculous. His spin gave the bear an unmistakable, sly confidence, making every stolen picnic basket feel like a brilliant scheme. The phrase leapt from cartoon to catchphrase, echoing in playgrounds and living rooms for generations. Suddenly, smarter than the average bear wasn't just words. It was a badge of honor. Wink and wink all rolled into one. Next, we'll see how Yogi's oddball legacy didn't stop with borrowed lines. It kept spinning in delightful directions. Number 5. The Yogi Bear Jellystone Park campgrounds are real. Not every cartoon gets its own campground, but Yogi Bear did. In 1969, drivers winding through Wisconsin could spot something improbable just off Interstate 94, a campground with picnic baskets on the sign and a giant yogi waving you in. This was the very first Jellystone Park, a family-friendly escape where the world of Hanna-Barbera's lovable bear and his buddy Boo Boo came to life. Since then, these campgrounds have multiplied, with more than 75 dotting the map from New York to California. Each one invites guests to step into a living cartoon, with yogi-shaped pools, ranger stations, and themed cabins. Kids make s'mores by firelight and watch costumed bears lead sing-alongs just as their parents once did. While the original show charmed TV audiences back in 1961, its spirit lives on every summer as tents pop up and families laugh under the pines. Yogi Bear's Jellystone Park isn't just a nod to retro animation. It's a tradition that keeps playful nostalgia alive. Next up, let's see where the trail of cartoon-inspired fun leads us. Let's pause for a second. Did you ever camp out at a Jellystone Park or dream of meeting Yogi Bear in person? Drop your favorite family camping memory or tell us which cartoon character you would have loved to spend a summer with. Number 6. Yogi Bear was the first cartoon character in space, sort of. Imagine a grinning cartoon bear drifting through the wild blue yonder. In 1962, that fantasy brushed against reality when Yogi Bear became the first cartoon celebrity, sort of, to journey into space. Well, not the real Yogi, but a plush doll outfitted in a custom-made silver spacesuit. NASA, already riding the excitement of the Mercury program, saw an opportunity for some good-natured publicity. Hanna-Barbera, ever the showman, jumped in. When the Mercury Atlas 9 test flight took off, so did the little Yogi, tucked in among the capsule's scientific instruments. Newsreels and newspapers from coast to coast celebrated the event, officially dubbing Yogi the first bear in space. It was part science, part spectacle, a moment when Saturday morning TV and the space race collided. Sure, it was more about marketing than moon landings, but for those who grew up cheering Yogi and Boo Boo, it was proof that even a picnic-loving bear could aim for the stars. Next up, another pop culture surprise rockets into view. Number 7. Cindy Bear didn't appear in the first episodes. Think back to those crisp Saturday mornings, the familiar jingle rolling out of the TV. While Yogi Bear seemed inseparable from his dainty sweetheart, Cindy Bear was actually nowhere to be found when the show debuted in syndication in 1961. It wasn't until later in that first season that Cindy wandered into Jellystone Park, her southern drawl adding a new warmth to Yogi's world. She was dreamt up by writers keen to give Yogi a softer, more complex side. And suddenly, picnic basket capers came with a sprinkle of romance and new comedic twists. Before Cindy, Yogi's adventures circled around clever thievery and outsmarting Ranger Smith. With her arrival, storylines grew richer and the cast more lovable. Cindy, voiced by Julie Bennett, quickly became a Jellystone fixture, her powder blue parasol twirling through countless episodes. It's wild to imagine those early scenes without her gentle presence, but it's proof that sometimes a show's heart takes a little time to arrive. Up next, let's uncover another playful peek behind the picnic basket. Number 8. The laugh track was a cost-cutting move. If you caught an episode of Yogi Bear back in 1961, you probably remember the strange chorus of laughter bubbling from nowhere. Hanna-Barbera's animators weren't working with a studio audience. Their shows unfolded in quiet rooms, where the only giggles were added in post. That laugh track, those bursts of pre-recorded chuckles, became a signature element for Yogi Bear and so many classics that followed. It was a clever solution. Instead of spending the time and money bringing in real kids to watch each reel, the studio could loop in canned laughter, saving both dollars and hours. Ironically, this shortcut gave their cartoons an infectious energy, making empty forests and picnic scenes feel alive and communal. For Yogi swiping a picnic basket, every silly misstep landed a round of applause, no matter how outlandish. This thrifty trick, born from the tight budgets of early animation, became so iconic that some viewers now say the clunky giggles are just as nostalgic as Yogi's "smarter than the average bear" catchphrase. In this world, even cost-cutting left a legacy. Number 9. Yogi had a rare crossover with the Flintstones. Picture this: Yogi Bear and Fred Flintstone sharing a laugh, not in Jellystone Park or Bedrock, but on your black and white TV. pitching Winston cigarettes together. Back in 1961, before cartoon guidelines tightened, viewers witnessed this bizarre team-up during a TV commercial break. Yogi and Fred, two titans of early animation, delivered their sales pitch right to living rooms across America, their familiar voices hawking a grown-up product with cartoon charm. It's a collision of childhood innocence and vintage advertising you just can't imagine happening today. Those early 60s were a different world, where parents chuckled along and no one thought twice about beloved cartoon characters hawking cigarettes. The ad faded quickly from the airwaves and soon from the public's memory, as cultural norms and regulations swiftly caught up. Today, it feels like a fever dream, a relic of a more naive media landscape, still echoing through history. Sometimes the pop culture roads you don't expect lead to the oddest, most unforgettable intersections. Number 10. Ranger Smith was inspired by real park rangers. Think of Ranger Smith's exasperated sigh as Yogi Bear grabs yet another picnic basket. That signature park ranger, with his deep sense of duty and comic worry, was not just a flight of cartoon fancy. The creators of Yogi Bear, premiering in 1961, spent time visiting actual national parks before bringing Jellystone to life. During those trips, they met and observed real park rangers, from their uniforms and strict postures to their stories of battling clever wildlife. Some episodes, like the ones where Yogi goes to wild lengths just to snag a sandwich, were inspired directly by misadventures from ranger logbooks. Ranger Smith's dedication, and sometimes resigned exhaustion, mirrored the authentic patience found in those park protectors. He became the perfect foil for Yogi's antics, always torn between following the rules and understanding the spirit of the woods. The next time you hear Ranger Smith holler at Yogi, remember, behind the cartoon, there's a bit of true park ranger spirit. And with that, let's wander deeper into the animated wilds ahead. Number 11. Yogi's bow tie. What is a technical shortcut? That crisp white collar and tidy green tie weren't just cartoon fashion for Yogi Bear. They hid a secret weapon in Hanna-Barbera's animator arsenal. With Yogi's neck decked out, the creative team could move his head independently while keeping the rest of his body perfectly still, essentially splitting the artwork in half. This simple shortcut, introduced when the Yogi Bear show debuted in 1961, let animators save precious hours and stretch their already lean budget. Not only did this make the Jellystone Park Ranger Dodger possible each week, but it set the template for future Hanna-Barbera classics, from the Flintstones to Scooby-Doo. That floating collar and bouncing tie weren't just Yogi's look. They were an emblem of ingenuity in an era of Saturday morning television where every dollar counted. Next time you catch a rerun, notice how Yogi's turtleneck never bends, no matter how much his jaw wobbles as he outsmarts Ranger Smith. It's a little design sleight of hand that kept Yogi smarter than the average bear, and Hanna-Barbera one step ahead in animation history. Number 12. Jellystone was modeled after a real park. Jellystone Park looked just as enchanting as the patchwork of forests and geysers you'd find in Yellowstone National Park. In the early days of Yogi Bear's cartoon adventures, Hanna-Barbera's animators didn't rely on pure imagination. Postcards, travel books, and tourism brochures of real Yellowstone sat right on their desks. Each towering pine and soothing blue lake in the show was traced from these glimpses into America's oldest national park, which first welcomed visitors in 1872. Even the name Jellystone was a winking nod to Yellowstone, offering kids a sense of adventure that felt both whimsical and almost attainable. Yogi's cozy home was drawn to be oddly familiar, a wild place that looked just like the pages of your family's summer vacation album. Thanks to these influences, Jellystone became more than a cartoon backdrop. It was an evergreen playground as real as any on the map. That blend of truth and imagination gave every Yogi Bear picnic raid a comforting tug, as if you'd seen those woods yourself. Number 13. Boo Boo's voice was almost completely different. Not every voice becomes iconic the first time around. When the creative team at Hanna-Barbera was shaping Yogi Bear in 1961, the first test for Boo Boo's voice caught everyone off guard. Don Messick, the talented actor behind Boo Boo, originally delivered lines with a voice that sounded deeper and surprisingly adult. Imagine a pint-sized bear cub with the rich baritone of a seasoned park ranger. It just didn't fit. Early producers quickly realized that the voice made Boo Boo seem out of place beside Yogi's mischievous charm. Test audiences even weighed in, calling the voice too old, and so the team pivoted. Messick shifted gears, softening Boo Boo's tone to the gentle, thoughtful sound fans came to love. That simple decision, prompted by honest feedback, set the character on a path to lasting cartoon fame. Every time Boo Boo warned Yogi about Mr. Ranger, it was that careful, endearing voice that brought fans back for more. Sometimes it takes a brave adjustment before a character truly finds a place in our hearts and memories. Number 14. The name Yogi sparked legal trouble. Imagine the ruckus when a cartoon bear's name had real-world consequences. Back in 1961, Yogi Bear was already delighting Saturday morning TV fans, but behind the scenes, a storm was brewing. It turned out the bear's name sounded a lot like that of the famous New York Yankees catcher Yogi Berra. Rumors started flying that Hanna-Barbera had borrowed more than just a catchy moniker for their picnic basket thieving bear. By the early 1960s, Yogi Berra himself wasn't laughing. He actually threatened legal action, worried that kids might mix up the beloved ballplayer with a cartoon woodland troublemaker. The studio rushed out statements calling the resemblance pure coincidence. Still, headlines splashed the unlikely battle into the national spotlight, making people wonder just how much pop culture borrows from the ballpark. With Yogi Bear's smooth-talking charm and Berra's baseball wisdom, each carved out fame in their own worlds. The fuzzy line between cartoon antics and Yankee legend, it made all the difference for a generation glued to their black and white TVs. And on we go, to the next strange secret behind your favorite Saturday morning shows. Number 15. Yogi was a spin-off before spin-offs were cool. Before Yogi Bear was headlining picnic basket raids in Jellystone Park, he was just a quirky sidekick on the Huckleberry Hound Show in 1958. Kids only needed a glimpse of that lovable, hat-tipping bear to be hooked. The public's crush on Yogi was so instant that by 1961, Hanna-Barbera spun him out into his very own series, a bold move ahead of its time, back when TV spin-offs were far from commonplace. Yogi, voiced by Daws Butler, quickly became a household name, teaching a whole generation how to outwit park rangers and delight Saturday morning audiences. His snaggle-toothed charm and famously inventive ways with a picnic basket made him a true original, and his solo show proved that audiences would follow a breakout character anywhere. Long before the phrase shared universe made its way into Hollywood meetings, cartoonists knew what kids wanted: more Yogi. The next time you hear someone say he was smarter than the average bear, you'll know they're tipping their cap to a true TV trailblazer. And with that, let's wander deeper into the world of classic cartoon surprises. Let's pause for a second. Did you realize Yogi Bear wasn't always the main character? Which cartoon sidekick stole your heart back in the day? Or maybe you remember seeing Yogi's first episodes. Share your favorite cartoon discoveries with us.